A guy wearing thick spectacles thrusts out a sweaty hand.
Monty James, Silverwing.
He glances down at your badge.
Ah, it's you. I found your file extremely interesting. And your CV, wonderful. Inspiring, really. When I had the opportunity to look over the files of my future colleagues, I couldn't resist. I don't want to sound boastful, but silver level clearance has its advantages.
Monty winks. James spreads his arms regretfully.
Ah, you misunderstood. I don't carry the physical copies with me, but I did get a chance to familiarize myself with them. Ask away.
Stopping by the door's porthole, you watch as the ground slowly approaches. It looks brown-black through the tinted glass and smoky blue at the horizon. It almost seems like the clouds are pulling apart there. You can discern the regular pattern of a settlement in the mists, hanging over the northern section. If this is the city, it's nowhere near as miraculous as the brochure. Just a few concrete buildings surrounded by sheds. It resembles the hab pods of a space colony in a sci-fi film. Yet, the scale is impressive. In only 5 years, a small civilization has arisen from these bleak sands to tackle mankind's greatest project. The blues and oranges did their share of the physical labor, but the main credit belongs to the brilliant administrators from Silverwing. At least, that's what you were told during the pre-departure briefing. Just as you're about to move away from the window, you notice a whirlwind beginning to form above the ochre plain. The gathering storm drifts unhurriedly above the desert, a crown of green lightning flashing at its core. Clearly, the outlines of the landing site, blurred by clouds of dust, appear behind the greenish glass of the porthole. The capsule shudders as the braking devices engage.
Come here. Come on now, or you'll miss everything.
A cheerful man in a white lab coat grabs you by the sleeve. A badge reading Ludovico Nuzzi, scientific analyst, export department, dangles loosely on his clean uniform, which still smells pungently of washing powder.
Look over there!
He points upward with a sharp, wide gesture and hands you his field binoculars. You raise the binoculars to your eyes. Under fourfold magnification, the whirling cloud above the rust-colored plains looks even stranger. Its core glows with flickering green light and flashes rhythmically, and that rhythm seems to form a complicated pattern. Nuzzi bends close to your ear.
Fascinating. Do you want me to bring some filters? If we intercept the red and blue spectrums, we'll see something amazing. It's like a signal, some kind of message.
Nuzzi looks from you to the capsule and to the landing terminal entrance. He flings his arms up.
Oh, mi scusi! Excuse me, I'm so sorry. You'd better get going or you'll be late for check-in. Your colleagues are already inside, and the storm is growing stronger. Yeah, the storm is growing stronger.
The white mutters in fascination, eyes glued to his binoculars, which is fixed on the spinning whirl of clouds.
Just great, Mr. Monty James. With luck like yours, I wouldn't spend any money
Oh,
on
good
the
day.
lottery. See ya.
Hello, come up to the desk, please. I'll register you.
A tall receptionist watches you from behind his desk with a bored, haughty look. He waves impatiently at you to approach. Noticing your silvery uniform, he offers up his best artificial smile.
Welcome. My name's Dean Rayhet. It's my job to help our new employees settle in. Please wait.
The administrator slaps himself on the forehead.
Ah, I almost forgot the regulation pre-registration greeting. Just a second.
Rayhet produces a reel-to-reel tape recorder from beneath the desk, rewinds the tape to the beginning, and presses play. The speakers explode with a harsh, crackling sound, over which the tick-tick of a metronome slowly grows louder. Solemn music begins to play, and the administrator's face takes on a serious expression.
Dear employee, on behalf of the Cronus Foundation, I, Administrator Dean Rayhet, welcome you to your new life under the dome.
The administrator clears his throat and continues.
By joining our company, you choose the path of science and progress. You are among mankind's best, and we ask that you live up to this.
Dean squints down at the monitor.
Deserve this title. Do your job honestly. Obey the law. Respect your colleagues and...
The music fades, and the administrator finishes his speech.
And together we will build the best possible future for all mankind.
Dean puts the tape recorder away.
Now that we're done with the official greeting, I'll register you and upgrade your Selectron. Okay?
Dean's hands hover over the keyboard. He gives you a nod. You spell out your first and last names and specify your wing, profession, and test results. The administrator's fingers fly across the keyboard as he enters your information into the Cronus database. Rayhet scans the computer screen.
So your position in the waiting list was 63,784. You've been assigned to Magellan Station. A special bus will bring you there after a series of briefings. Please pass me your Selectron so I can update the firmware.
Dean snaps the docking port of your pass to a recess in the casing of his computer. The administrator returns your Selectron.
So, colleague, you now have first-level clearance, which gives you access to the archives on the administrative level, the warehouses, and basically everywhere else except the secure facilities. You also have admin privileges at most terminals.
Dean continues.
All new employees have a short list of tasks to perform on arrival. Do you want to hear all the details, or just the short version?
Rayhet snorts.
To make it short, get your uniform from storage, your weapons from the armory, pass the Psi abilities test, and complete your weapons training at the training zone. Then learn how to use the scanner, avoid anomalies, and properly catalog anything you observe. Last, go to the waiting room and wait for the bus to Magellan.
Dean sits back in his armchair.
That's it. I hope there aren't any questions.
Rayhet claps his hands in satisfaction.
Great.
He reaches for the tape recorder, but thinks better of it.
Protocol calls for a little welcoming preamble, but dash it all, that's nonsense. Welcome to Concord Station.
As he's about to turn away, Dean suddenly remembers something.
Oh yes, I sent your mail to your Kairos. Check your new messages. Well...
Cronus Corporation reminds you, please use a public terminal to access your account. Thank you.
Behind the storage counter, you see a small, neat guy. His gingery hair shines with something like brilliantine. His badge says, Sidney Maynard, storekeeper.
Oh, what a lovely angel! Came down from the heavens. Good morning, my lady. Is it something urgent? By the way, my name's Sidney. My friends call me Sid, though I prefer a different name. Want me to whisper it to you?
He smiles languidly, leaning on his elbows against the counter. The effect is more laugh-inducing than playful. Never taking his gaze off you, he reaches under the counter, loses his balance, and clips his chin on the desktop as he falls down. A full minute later, he reappears, grimly rubbing his jaw with a thick logbook. He thumbs through it for a long period, squinting nearsightedly. Eventually, he gives up the struggle and reluctantly puts on his glasses. The silver finally stops and pins down a particular page with his finger.
Now, this is your first uniform requisition, right? You can also purchase any equipment you need for the desert directly from me.
Maynard smiles at you over his glasses, practically stripping you naked with his gaze.
Your voice is enchanting, my lady. I could listen to it forever. But right now, you need to listen to me. I am going to give you some instructions. These are the rules.
Sidney fiddles with his hairstyle.
So, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Life under the dome can be dangerous. You may get shot, spill acid on yourself, get electrocuted, or suffer the effects of a dangerous anomaly. You may also freeze to death or get fried. That's why it's important to wear protective equipment when traveling outdoors. Of course, in hazardous situations, the equipment will get damaged, and the more it's damaged, the more often one has to repair it.
The silver steps back from his counter to indicate the repair kit boxes piled in the back of the warehouse. He points back at the shelves behind him.
We've got repair kits for this gear. There are Blue Wing specialists ready to help you at any large base, of course, but they're not always available. So you'd better learn how to use repair kits and workbenches on your own. It's a useful skill.
Sidney leans on the counter again and throws you a lazy wink.
No one would ever say no to a cutie pie like you, though. Those are all the instructions, by the way. Shall we get to the giving part now?
The silver disappears into the back for a while and returns with a small package. Unfolding the package, Maynard shows you a brand spanking new uniform. A silver suit jacket with coal-black shirt and dark trousers. Sidney studies the way the light reflects from the cloth as he lovingly smooths the jacket with one hand.
The Silver Wing uniform is fit for field conditions, just in case. But something this fine, you should treat with care, you know.
He raises a finger.
One more important thing. In accordance with Order 16-225, helmets and gloves are not issued, but they're available for purchase from me. Please bear in mind that a full set includes headgear or a mask, jacket, trousers, gloves, and boots.
Sidney hands you the package.
Here's your uniform. Enjoy.
As you leave, Sidney vents a barely audible sigh. What a looker, he says to himself.
Anything urgent, Mr. Krachkov?
Katarzyna, did you mark it as Class 1 again, instead of 2? Look, here's the scanner data. It says the relic is a scientific device.
Wait, but it's still Class 1. I'm not going to violate protocol.
Katarzyna, my dear, you may violate...
The smell of good tobacco wafts off this tall, portly woman from a meter away. A black lacquered pipe, an open logbook full of signatures, and a metal flip calendar sit on the counter in front of her. A small nameplate reads, Margarita Tkachenko. The woman fixes her coppery hair with one hand and casually lights her pipe.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Her voice is deep and gravelly. Margarita thumbs back a couple of pages in her logbook.
I see. This was your first receipt.
She glances at her kairos, looks at you, snorts, and retreats to the shelves. A couple of minutes later, Tkachenko returns holding a small pistol. She puts the gun on the counter and strokes the Bakelite grip with a strange affection.
Pistols are good. Not for everyone. One needs a special skill set.
The black draws the slide with a snap, pops out the magazine with an almost imperceptible movement, and slams it back in place.
It's reliable. Has a nice heft, too, so even if it jams, you can always smack him on the head with it.
Takachenko slides the pistol across the counter. Margarita drags on her pipe and releases a puff of thick, yellow smoke.
I see you know the rules and won't cause problems.
The armorer shrugs, puffing indifferently on her pipe.
It's the least I could do. We have a requisition list from the Silvers. For free, you receive only rubbish. If you want the real deal, check out the weaponry shop. Or me.
Leaning over the counter, the black points somewhere off to one side.
Now it's time for your training. Botherby is already waiting for you by the big gate. He's a bit dotty, but a good man nonetheless. But before the training zone, go see that wizard guy with his toothpicks. Be careful around him, though. Don't let him pitch you a line. Psychic my ass.
She winces in disgust.
As you can see, there are endless salt pans in the
Well,
western region.
you've got
behind me.
quite an
The
aura.
sun reflects
You're a natural.
blindingly from the
Yes.
salt, and the air is as dry as
A lean silver with thick black hair and a huge cigar clamped in his teeth is sitting in front of you. As you approach, he flashes a sly grin and slowly raises an outstretched hand above the table. Something really weird happens. All the paper clips, pencils, scattered toothpicks, and bits of trash float up from the table and hang in the air. The silver badge reading Andrei Mihai, Science Instructor, floats up as well. You thrust your hand forward, and your outspread fingers emit barely visible sparks of energy. Pencils, paper clips, toothpicks, and pistachio shells dance chaotically in the air. The silver sticks out his lower lip as if to say, not bad, and gives you a thumbs up. The objects clatter back onto the table.
Here for the briefing, huh? Shall we get to it?
He takes the cigar out of his mouth and exhales a lush cloud of smoke. The silver props his elbows on the table.
Anyway, here's the deal. It's more profitable for people with a high psyche to study psionics. Give me your hand.
Not waiting for an answer, he grabs your hand with strong, dark fingers. He jerks his hand back at once, then touches you again, carefully and distrustfully.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You know you've got one hell of a talent, huh? Slimy little bastard, you. You want to take my office, I know. But you sure got some power there.
The silver takes a thin glove covered in talc from his desk and passes it to you.
Look, a glove, right? But it isn't just a glove. This is an ooh mama, hold me tight glove. It takes energy from your noggin, your psyche, and pew, concentrates it.
He counts off on his fingers.
Learn psionics. Put on the glove. Transform energy into the necessary shape. That's the whole briefing. Simple? Simple. Now to your questions, huh?
There are endless salt pans in the western region behind me. The sun reflects
I'll complain to the
blindingly
Silvers
from
about
the
that
salt,
idiot.
and the
An engineer in a bright blue jacket is tinkering with the door lock, cursing under his breath nonstop. Blowing a curly strand of hair off his forehead, he turns to you.
You're a newcomer, right? It's a straight-up open house here today.
He offers you his hand. According to his badge, this is Maxim Penkovsky, technician. The technician slaps the door with one hand.
You have to wait until I'm done. Some orange jammed up the lock with chewing gum just for a laugh. They're like animals, those oranges, marking their territory. If you ask me, they're too gracious about those bastards in Crystal Sands.
Penkovsky grunts angrily.
I wish I could. I'm gonna have to disassemble, clean, and reassemble it to get it working. It's work I don't need, and all thanks to some idiot.
Maxime extracts a thin, sharp precision probe from behind his ear and dangles it in front of you.
Though there's another way. You want to learn something about picking locks? It's a useful skill in all sorts of situations.
He looks at you expectantly. The blue's getting excited.
All right, Looky here.
Penkovsky presses his pick lock, and an odd device resembling a hybrid of a screwdriver and a can opener into your hand.
Using a mechanical pick lock is easy peasy. No special skill required. They wear out after a few locks. While the old-fashioned kind is another thing entirely. Cheap, one use. But one has to know how to use it right. That's a tool for a master.
Maxime takes out another pick lock and crouches by the door. He gives you a quick lesson on how to pick a lock.
By the way, you can carry your tools in your belt. It's much handier to have them right there.
Penkovsky shows you his utility belt, where he keeps all kinds of tools and gadgets.
Actually, finding tools under the dome is no problem at all. There are even devices for hacking terminals and so on.
Maxime hoists up his belt. The blue solemnly raises his index finger.
And one more thing. Always use brand name stuff if you can. Groovy produces good kits. Modus and Supercolor do too. They've all got fat contracts with Cronus, so they care about quality.
He looks at the door again.
Damn these locks. Though I'd rather be doing this than fixing hab pods. Those are a real pain in the ass. I repeat, get a lockpick and attach it to your utility belt. And then, apply it to the door. Yes, apply is the proper word. You're doing great. All right, off you go. I'll keep working on this lock because of that orange. Hey-oh.
Welcome under the dome, an amazing excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information,
but I'm
useful for
sure
all
I'll
rings,
come here
and
in a
receive
year
colorful
and will feel like a real...
A middle-aged black is sitting behind the counter with his hands in his lap. The buttons and zippers on his uniform are polished to a shine, and even his badge, Winston Botherby, Instructor, has been buffed so much it hurts to look at it. Botherby frowns as you approach.
Your first act is being late for the briefing. You going to be late for your funeral as well?
The black looks you over.
Yes, I see the weapon received checkmark. Looks like you are fully prepared to disappoint me. You are prepared, right, employee?
Botherby leans over the counter and directs you to the doors.
Behind this door is a combat simulation computer. Launch it and begin your course.
He raises his index finger.
The conditions in the training zone closely simulate those one would experience in the field. Your goal is to avoid getting lost and dying of dehydration. And try to aim the barrel away from yourself when shooting.
Pulling a notepad from his pocket, the instructor jots down your name.
Your goal is to hit 3 targets. I'm going to monitor you and advise as necessary. And try not to burst into tears. That's all. Go ahead. I sincerely hope your enemies are sharpshooters, just like you. Target hit. I wouldn't cheer for random chance if I were you. Target hit. Can't help but say I'm stoked. My dear lady, the gun shoots in the same direction the muzzle's pointing. Please consider this information carefully. Target hit. I wouldn't cheer for random chance if I were you. Target hit. Try not to get too cocky. Target hit. Can't help but say I'm stoked. Target hit.
Botherby nods grandly.
You made it through training without making a total fool of yourself. Congratulations. I'll send a report up the chain about your completely unanticipated success. You're dismissed, employee.
Welcome under the dome, an amazing excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information, useful for all wings, and receive a colorful...
You see a tall scientist in a white lab coat, bathed in the dim lamplight. He almost appears to be hovering above the laboratory floor. The man turns at your footsteps. He's holding a paper clipboard and a pencil. His shimmering silver badge reads Sebastian van Olden. He glances from you to the glittering watch on his wrist.
I want us to respect one another's time. Please speak loudly, clearly, and to the point. You must be the newcomer I was told about. Nice to meet you.
Finished with his unusual greeting, he offers you his thin hand. The scientist puts the clipboard aside, raises his watch for a closer look, and sets the timer. He shows you his watch dial.
According to the rules of this briefing, I have to touch on a large number of topics. Therefore, I will do so very briefly. Do not interrupt me. When I'm finished, I'll answer your questions. Within regulations, of course.
Sebastian produces his handheld and clicks some buttons.
I checked your scanner. It's working and is connected to the Minerva database. Everything you scan will earn you Kronos or Forefathers knowledge points.
The instructor watches you with displeasure.
Are you listening? Scan everything that might be of scientific interest. First of all, anomalies. They could be dangerous. Make sure to always have medication with you.
He places a canvas pouch in your hand.
This pouch is full of bolts. You can temporarily discharge an anomaly by throwing a bolt into it. It's primitive, but reliable.
Van Olden pushes a button on his stopwatch.
So, my oral briefing fell within the allotted span of time. Any questions you want to ask me?
The scientist glances at his watch again.
You're within the time limit for questions. The next step is training in the artificial ecozone.
He rests one finger on the button in preparation to start the timer.
You're going to go downstairs and scan relics. I will be monitoring your progress. Please note there are several radioactive anomalies in the ecozone. These are the same conditions you'll be working in the field. Radioactive zones and relics are quite common under the dome.
He smoothly extracts a jar of yellow pills from his pocket.
Here's your Arad 3. And one more thing. Just a moment.
Please stand by for decontamination to end.
Welcome under the dome.
Careful around the anomalies. Touch one of them and you'll be injured. Toss a bolt at the anomaly to discharge it. Journal entry. A successful scan. You're doing all right. Journal entry. 2 objects scanned. And again, watch out for anomalies. Touch one and you'll be injured. Toss a bolt at the anomaly to discharge it. Journal entry. All 3 objects have been successfully scanned. Come upstairs, employee.
Welcome under the dome. An amazing excursion.
Sebastian meets you on the platform.
Your finishing time is within the acceptable range.
He clicks the stopwatch button, fixing the result time. The scientist turns back to his notes.
Not bad. One question. You observed several anomalies while scanning. Why do you think they appeared? I'd like to hear your opinion.
The scientist assumes a superior expression.
I knew you'd come up with something like that. I see you understand nothing about the nature of anomalies. So let me add a couple of points.
He glances at the shimmering blue light in the eco-zone.
The truth is, we don't know the precise reason for these phenomenon either. We actually know nothing, no matter how much we try to convince ourselves otherwise.
Sebastian points a thin finger at the clustered lightning.
I personally believe that the anomalies are the dome's security mechanism. The ones you saw are relatively harmless, but there are different anomalies in the desert, phenomenon that toy with the human mind.
Van Olden clasps his hands behind his back.
I know you don't care, but I'll say it anyway. Scientists today are required to be wonder workers who can heal cancer with a wave of their hand and solve the secrets of the universe during their coffee break. For some reason, no one wants to understand that fundamental science is always an investment in the future. It produces no answers here and now.
The White's gaze strays back to his clipboard.
If something terrible happens under the dome one day, and I'm sure it will, science will protect no one. That is all. Off you go.
Welcome under the dome. An amazing excursion.
Please stand by for decontamination to end.
Welcome under the dome. An amazing excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information.
Sounds like a sci-fi story. But we aren't strangers to sci-fi here. The detailed plans are ready. And according to them, there will soon be a real resort city in the West. With bars, casinos,
Welcome under the dome. An amazing excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information, useful for all wings, and receive a colorful leaflet.
This is Victoria Legrand.
Ed, spit it out. I can see that something's bothering you.
Well, it's a bit of a private matter, you see.
God.
Employee, please come here. There's an urgent task for you.
Hiya.
The giant display glows welcomingly when you approach. A red light comes on under the screen's steel hood. The camera is switched on. A gray old man with high cheekbones appears and squints out at you from the screen.
Do you copy?
He leans close to the camera, his glasses glittering.
My name is Martin Kingsley. I'm Chief Officer of Magellan Base. We were supposed to meet in person, but unforeseen circumstances prevented that. One moment. I'll grab your file.
He reaches for something out of view and produces a thin folder with your name on the cover, apparently your file. Kingsley opens the folder to thumb through the pages. He marks one of the pages with a pencil.
Silverwing. Colleague, I'll be honest with you. It's crucial for me to know my managers, so I'm asking you straight. Why did you choose a career in our division?
The administrator jots down a word or two.
All right. I put that down.
He sounds as formal as you. Kingsley closes the file and folds his hands in front of him.
Thank you for your reply. I learned a little more about you. Now I want you to learn a little bit more about us. Keep in mind, this is not a rehearsed speech.
He assumes a serious expression.
When the dome was discovered in 1971, it became a scientific and media sensation, a worldwide phenomenon, and likely the most significant discovery in the history of mankind.
Kingsley drums his fingers on the unseen desk, his gaze focused somewhere beyond.
I see. You were enticed here by radio advertising, telefilms, and all those interviews, billboards at every turn. Cronus wants the world to see the dome as a stage where something merry and fascinating is going on. But now that you're actually here, I want you to see the real picture.
You can't make out his eyes behind the glare on his spectacles, but he seems to be staring directly at you.
Here's the truth. Nobody was waiting for us inside the dome. It's neither a treasury of technologies nor a cemetery of the ancients. Perhaps what we're doing now is defusing the world's most complicated bomb. Will our mission thrive? I believe so. If we work together and everybody does their part.
He looks back at your file.
I say, do what must be done. Because that's what the concept of the 5 wings is all about.
Kingsley points at the camera.
You're from Silverwing. Special requirements are imposed upon you. You must direct others whilst having no real power. You must provide an illusion of might and well-being, and be honest and wise enough to reconcile your actions with your conscience, no matter that one clashes directly with the other.
Putting the folder aside, he sits back and stares at you in silence. It gets so quiet that the ticking of a clock can be heard through the speakers. Kingsley sighs quietly.
You were probably waiting for some boilerplate welcome speech, but I prefer to talk about real-world problems. Glad to meet you.
Martin nods slowly.
I apologize once again for this long-distance meeting. Now, as we don't have much time, I'd like to get to the point. I'm sure you're curious why you were taking off the bus to Magellan and brought here instead.
He moves closer to the camera.
I'm going to show you a short video. Please pay attention.
Kingsley's face freezes on screen.
I have an urgent mission for an employee of your background and qualifications. I'd have assigned someone from Magellan, but I'm short on personnel. That's why it has to be a newcomer. I apologize again for the rush, but it seems I have no choice.
Martin noisily clears his throat.
Maybe you've heard about Nashville Base. While preparing the materials for this mission, I came across a short documentary film about the complex. I think you should watch it.
The speakers produce a hollow click. Purple, gray, and black spots flicker on the screen. A blurred title, The Cronus Archive 1971 to 1974, was used in the production of this recording, appeared. You're not really interested in the movie. Instead, you eye the austere interior of the guard room, the switches on the panel, and the dusty window facing out on a well-lit storage area. Not far from the staircase, an orange tractor truck is standing amidst the shelves and containers. It must be the one from Magellan Station. Catching the word Nashville, you turn back to the screen. The camera glides through dim caverns as the silhouettes of bizarre mechanisms emerge. Metal structures loom up from the dark, surrounded by earth-moving machines and exhausted miners wearing orange jumpsuits. The film abruptly cuts out, and Kingsley's face reappears.
The rest of this information is classified. Hopefully you get the main idea. Nashville is a very special place, requiring people with both special qualifications and special clearance level, though yours will do for your task.
Martin adjusts his glasses.
So, the task. Nashville base stopped transmitting and receiving signals yesterday evening. A reconnaissance group was sent out earlier today, but we haven't heard anything from them yet either.
The chief officer rubs his forehead.
Normally, I would never give this task to a newcomer like yourself, but I just don't have enough people.
He looks down at the documents again.
Furthermore, the group was lacking someone with your specialization. I thought the mission would be quite straightforward and didn't send any administrative personnel. Now I suspect the Nashville situation may be much more complicated.
Kingsley is looking into the camera once more.
Your task is to get to Nashville, figure out whatever's behind the communication problem, get in touch with the group, and work with them to solve the problem.
The chief officer carefully returns the documents to the folder. You notice his hands tremble slightly.
Go downstairs. The truck must be waiting for you in storage. This task is urgent, but a small delay is acceptable if there's anything you need to settle here first. That is all. Any questions?
Kingsley's hand reaches toward the camera.
Great to hear. Take care of yourself. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, good day. I hope to...
The highway leading to C-12 Nashville is blocked by an anomalous storm, and you're forced to detour over a mountain pass. Soon, Clara lifts up the hood and thoroughly examines the steaming radiator.
The engine's boiling, so we'll have to wait. You do know what happens when a car boils, right?
Morgan turns on the radio. The air is filled with white noise and distant, barely audible voices. Clara the Blue looks at the engine again.
We wait. As soon as it cools down, we'll go. This storm worries me more, but it's not an insurmountable problem. I heard there are some relics at the local gas station that protect against anomalies. You could even accidentally step on one out here, they say. Mysterious are the ways of the Lord.